Hi, here I am in my studio, and I'm doing an intro to my quilting tutorial. Forgive it, it's my first one. I really don't know what I'm doing. I hope I get better. And yeah, just stopping by to say hi and excuse the mess in the back. All right, enjoy. So usually I don't care about a color theme when I'm making scrap projects. I just grab whatever is in the box and put it together. But today I'm going to go with a blue theme. So I've pulled out a bunch of scraps that I've collected for over 20 years, some of these, since before my youngest daughter was born. So I'm going to start with my strips because I have a project in mind that I saw on Pinterest and I want to make with these. I've laid out my blue strips that I have, and you can see some of them are completely jagged, so I'll spend a little time cleaning them up. And I need to make a strip as long as this cutting board, and I could sit down and figure out all the math, but what I'll really do is just sew them together and lay them down and measure them until I've got a long enough piece. Because in case you've never done rotary cutting, it's a super convenient, quick way to cut up stuff and get straight edges. Put your blade against the ruler and just go straight up. I've just changed the blade this morning on my cutter, so it's super sharp, which I really like. One side is straight, so my son is bringing me home from the States a rotating mat, which would be so lovely because you got to turn things around to get them straight. Okay, so line up the other side. I'm lining it up with the cloth, with the straight edge of the cloth, and trim off the extras. There you go. Now this is a little wider than I want, and it's about 3 inches, so I'm going to cut it at 1.5. and get 2 strips from this piece. And so when you're using a big ruler like this, I learned that it's easiest to, you know, put your fingers here and then put 1 or 2 onto the mat itself to keep the ruler from slipping around so you don't screw up your cutting. There. So I'm going to continue doing this with the rest of my strips to make sure they're all nice and straight, and then we'll start sewing. I've laid out my strips. They're longer than the mat, so I hope I have enough. And actually what I'm going to be making is called a herringbone block, and probably I'll do a runner out of it. So when I sew these, I'm not actually going to sew them in a straight line up and down. I'm going to sew them a little off the edge, because when I cut it, I'm going to cut it so we get a diagonal look. And I think it'll be cool if it works like it's supposed to. I'm actually going to sew them off about 1.5 inches here, and it's going to create like a step. Here's a few that I sewed together in sets of 2, and I'm just going to sew these together to make my whole one piece so I can cut it out. Here I've sewn them all together kind of diagonally, and I'm worried that it's going to be a little thinner than not as wide as I wanted it to be, because I wanted it to be as wide as my ruler. But oh well, I'll just work with it. So I lay down the ruler and try to line up the sides here so I can give it a good straight line cut. Okay, here we are. Here it's got a little mark in the cloth, but it'll be fine. So turn this around to get the other side. We'll see how wide we ended up with. So I want to make sure that this line is straight with my ruler lines, ruler guides, so I'll get a nice straight rectangle. And over here, each edge is covered. Alright, so I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-inch wide piece. Yeah, it's a little smaller than I had hoped to have, but in Japanese we say shoganai. We'll just live with it. Alright, there we go. Now, the last thing to do is to cut off the top, so we'll get a rectangle. And after we get a rectangle, you know, you can do anything you want with it. You could make a few more, you know, the same width or length. Oh look, nice little triangle there. That can be used for a coaster or some other scrap project. And after you decide what to do, you know, you just finish it off, and there you go. A scrappy herringbone kind of block. Alright, deciding how to finish this block, I decided I'm going to put one wide dark blue piece on it and a thin white piece on the other side. Coming to the end of this one, I decided to use this kind of leftover piece from another project that I did on the back. And for the batting, I'm using a piece of like felt instead of regular batting. It gives it a bit of a thinner finish. I hate basting my pieces together, and these safety pins make it so much easier. They have a little crooked, they're crooked in the center, and they're specially made for basting your pieces together. And they say that you should probably put them in every couple of inches to do a good tight basting. I don't know that I do that close together, but they're very easy to put into your project and keep everything together while you work on sewing it. So if you can find some of these, I think I got mine in the States, but I've seen them in Japan too. They weren't that expensive, and if you are a quilter, they're completely worth the investment to save you time and just make one of the processes a little bit easier. I put on the binding. I decided on this white one with it has a little tiny pattern on it. Can you see? I don't know if you can see, but I like that pattern. I'm almost, actually this is the end of this white fabric, and I don't know where to find another piece. Anyway, I don't know if you've seen these clips before, but these are made by Clover, so you can definitely find them in Japan, and they're super convenient, especially for binding. Much better than pins, because you know, pins, you're always poking your finger. Anyway, I'll just show you real quick how to use them. Usually you start at the center of your binding section, and then I just do from the center out, and I'll finish one side along the edge, and then both sides. So the corners are a little bit trickier. How I do the corners, and it's tricky but not too difficult. I fold both edges around the corner in, and then I'll fold down one side straight, and then I'll fold the top of the other side over it to get a little corner there. And if you've sewn them right on the machine, when it's done, you'll have a very nicely made mitered corner. And I like sharp mitered corners myself. Some people prefer round, and that's okay too. Whatever you like works. This block is finished off and done. I'm not going to do anything else to it. I'm going to give you a little close-up of the hand stitching that I did along the white border. I just put this kind of, I don't know, Tetris block in, Tetris stitching. In the center, I went along the lines, and I did one up the center. And on this block, I just went around the circles that were already there and put 2 lines around them. Yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. See my little tag, handmade tags. And that's a wrap. And I hope that you can make your own blocks and you'll find this easy to follow and do. See you next time.